The original premise for opening Gitmo, that detainees would not be able to challenge their detention, was found unconstitutional 5 years ago. In the meantime, Gitmo has become a symbol around the world for an America that flouts the rule of law. Our allies won't cooperate with us if they think a terrorist will end up at Gitmo. During a time of budget cuts, we spend $150 million each year to imprison 166 people.
Close to America, we have Guantanamo Bay, where those who plotted against America or were part of those groups who sought to kill Americans are housed to this day. This is the prison we know about. In Afghanistan, as the American military prepares to hopefully one day leave, there is another, much more secret prison that exists. Let's dig into this and much more as we welcome back co-founder of the National Security Leadership Foundation and an internationally recognized security expert, Kerry Patton, joins us on MidPoint. Kerry, pleasure to see you again.
Thanks for having me back on.
Kerry, here we go now. The Guardian is reporting this story. There are hunger strikes against segregated housing, unsanitary water, lack of access to the International Committee of the Red Cross. But we're talking about Afghanistan. This is the U.S. military's Bagram prison in Afghanistan. We knew this was there, but there's some really troubling things coming out of this prison right now as to the prisoners that are still there.
Well, let's take it a step back for a moment here. Number one, it's not Bagram. It's actually Parwan. There's a detention facility in Parwan that holds foreign terrorists. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about foreign jihadists that the U.S. and our coalition have captured on the battle space. With that said, understand that there is a game of manipulation being played. The jihadists whom we fight understand better than most of us how to manipulate the laws, how to manipulate people's minds to play a hearts and mind campaign of their own. And when you talk about this detention facility and you talk about different black sites that exist throughout the world, know that a terrorist will do everything in their power to circumvent what is truly taking place. They want to manipulate people. They want to use the media to their advantage so there can be outcry on what's unfolding. And that's exactly what's taking place right now. I can tell you, these people don't have it great, but they do have it well, to the point where they're eating ice cream pretty much every single day.
Is that one of the biggest problems with this prison, the prison at Parwan that you mentioned, and the others as well, that we are simply never getting the actual idea of what happens in the prisons because it is secret, it is clamped down, and a lot of times what we are hearing is maybe second and third hand information and also maybe even a little hyperbole from the terrorist groups themselves?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. You know, it's hard to get information out of these prisons, and what information does come out has to be vetted accordingly because, you know, again, typical, you know, that's a lot of what this is. It's a lot of hearsay.
Let's also now talk about what happens after this, because the United States is looking to get out of Afghanistan. Afghan authorities have already said that they will not continue to hold any of these foreign detainees. So we have what Americans consider to be very dangerous people sitting here, and still those who want to kill Americans. We leave, the Afghans release them. Where do they go? We have a real vacuum problem here, don't we?
Well, and that's the biggest concern that I have right now, especially for the veterans who have sacrificed so much while fighting the past 13 plus years against these dirtballs. You know, what are we going to do? Or we're just going to let them go? Obviously, that's not the proper answer. And I can tell you, I talked to a lot of military folks and a lot of contractors today that are responsible to conduct snatch and grab operations. And they have confided in me and said, what's the point of capturing these folks if we're just going to have to fight them again in the battle space? We might as well just kill them where we find them. And it's kind of difficult to argue with their mindset right now. Think about it.
The other thing to look at as well, you mentioned some of the black bags and some of the black ops that's going on, but certainly I want to talk about those black bag operations. There's another report coming out that talks about there are so many countries in here, at least 54 countries aid the CIA in a post-9/11 program of secret detentions, renditions, and interrogations. That's to be expected, though. Certainly, people know about this. It's almost as if the secret that nobody really wants to talk about. But as you pointed out, There are prisons and detention centers all around the world, but it's not just America who does it. This is another attempt at trying to stop the bad guys. How am I doing so far?
You're absolutely right. And I think that's one of the things that we might have a little bit of confidence in. Some of the nations that do maintain these quote-unquote black sites, we might not hold on to the prisoners, but who's to say the countries that are holding on to the prisoners won't? You know, a place like, hypothetically, Libya, when Gaddafi was in power there was a CIA black site right there. And knowing Gaddafi and his mindset, I wouldn't have been surprised if we kept him in power if he would have ensured that people that we brought into these sites would have stayed locked up, if not killed or executed.
I got about a minute or so left here. There's a discussion of 6 of the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay being transferred to Uruguay. Why that country of all places?
It's just a matter of what country is willing to support us in our renditions. And it could have been any country. It just happens to be that I think Uruguay is trying to work their magic in beefing up diplomatic ties with the United States, because they have a lot of problems in Uruguay right now and the surrounding nations. So they're going to do whatever they can to help us so we can turn around and help them.
I only got about 45 seconds left. We'll have you back on to talk about this story again. But the NYPD is monitoring potential al-Qaeda threats to the U.S. Tennis Open. How concerned should Americans be about big events like that being the next terrorist target?
Yeah, big events are always a big concern for anybody that works Homeland Security. And really, I hope, though, that our professionals that are doing the job don't get tunnel vision thinking only al-Qaeda would be the big threat. Look, you know what's going on with Hezbollah operatives, the Iranian proxy out of Lebanon that's fighting in Syria right now. We know that there are Hezbollah operatives that cross the Canadian border and the south border as well. So let's just not get tunnel vision. Know that the threat exists, but it doesn't exist just from one organization.
Americans perhaps to understand that the terrorists are always looking for a hole someplace and always looking for someplace to gain an edge. So if you've got to undergo a little bit of a security check when you go to places like the U.S. Tennis Open or other sporting events, put up with it. It really is there for your protection as well. Kerry, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Thank you so much. We'll do it again.
You got it. Anytime. Thank you.
All right, there's some truth as to what's going on right now. And again, that story is interesting because the NYPD is finding out that Inspire, that's the online English-speaking magazine of al-Qaeda, they're telling people and supporting their people now to go after sporting events. We'll do what we can to stop the bad guys. Coming up next, telling it like it is, right here on MidPoint.